Welcome back to the Milk and Cookies podcast. My name's Anthony. I'm joined today with Frankie here. He is a Bengals fan from Ohio. And this is our second episode of interviewing a fan from all the 32 NFL teams. And today we're going to be talking about the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, the Bengals coming off a bad year last year and Joe Burrow getting hurt. That was definitely not what you expected. But I think they'll bounce back this year. Can I get your take on that?
Well, Anthony, thank you for having me on today. I think the Bengals are going to be a better team this season. I think they've done a lot in the offseason and free agency and the draft to upgrade the team in areas of need.
Yeah.
One of their biggest weaknesses last year on offense, especially, was the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Spend money on a high-priced free agent on, let's say, Joe Thuney or Corey Linsley or offensive lineman like that, but they still got a very quality right tackle in Riley Reiff from the Minnesota Vikings, 10-year veteran who is an immediate upgrade from Bobby Hart, who they've had the last few years. And then in the draft, they took 3 offensive linemen, most notably Jackson Carman from Clemson, who can play either left or right guard. And then they also got 2 other offensive linemen, Trey Hill, a center from Georgia, and then Deontay Smith from ECU. And that was after they traded down in the second round to 3 more picks. So the Bengals have been aggressive this offseason. And then, of course, you can't forget about who they took in the first round in Jamar Chase. This offense, if Joe Burrow can stay healthy, largely due to Joe Burrow's health is going to be largely hinged on if the offensive line can protect him. If that happens, I don't see any reason why this Bengals offense can't average 25 points a game.
That would be dangerous.
Chase. Absolutely. Jamar Chase, and he joins T. Higgins, who had a really good rookie season, and there's reports saying that he's gotten faster, so he can be more explosive on the deep ball, which was a struggle for the Bengals last year. You have T. Higgins. You got Tyler Boyd, who's been remarkably consistent the last 3 seasons. You've got tight end coming back in C.J. Uzomah, and don't forget about Joe Mixon. He only played 6 games last year, but when he is running the football well, this Bengals offense can be very, very dynamic. With him running and Joe Burrow passing and his accuracy, this Bengals offense can score with anybody in this league. But it's also going to matter about the defense. If the defense can't keep opponents off the scoreboard, what good is scoring 34 points or 25 points a game? The Bengals on defensive linemen, sorry if I'm going on a tangent here, Trey Hendrickson from the Saints, 13.5 sacks last year. Anthony, you probably know about him being in the NFC South. He went up against him 3 times last year. Trey Hendrickson, Larry Ogunjobi from the Browns, run stuffer, can rush the passer as well. Then you go into the secondary. Chidobe Awuzie from the Cowboys, Ricardo Allen from the Falcons, Mike Hilton, one of the best slot corners in the league from Pittsburgh, division rival, knows the team well.
Yeah.
The Bengals spent a lot of money on free agency when it came to the defense. I just want to see if that's going to come into fruition. And then you get guys who you spend money on last year coming back. DJ Reader, who's an abominable force in the interior when playing at his highest level. And then Trey Wayne, former slot corner or defensive back from Minnesota. Didn't play last year because of a torn pec. How's he going to fare this year as a corner? It's going to be really, really interesting to see how this team and this new look, especially on defense, fares this season in Joe Burrow's second season.
Right. I agree 100% with you on that. So now going into it, let's just go game by game, get your season prediction. So week 1, you're home against the Minnesota Vikings. Win, loss, or blowout, or close game? What do you see?
I see a really close game here, Anthony, because the Vikings, I was just reading the Athlon Sports NFL Preview magazine. I mean, they are really, really what I gather from that is they think the Vikings are also due for a bounce-back season.
I think so, too.
Yeah, I look at their offense. Kirk Cousins, I think, is a better quarterback than he's given credit for. I've always been a big believer in him. And he's got really good receiving core. Justin Jefferson from the rookie from LSU last year, now second year, who was tremendous. And now you got Adam Thielen, Irv Smith. If Dalvin Cook can stay healthy, he's explosive. The Vikings defense also is going to be stronger this year with the return of Danielle Hunter up front as a pass rusher and edge rusher. So This game is going to be really, really close. Mike Zimmer coming back, coaching in Paul Brown Stadium for the first time as a visitor since leaving as former Bengals defensive coordinator. This is tough because at first I thought the Bengals would win this game, but I think they will.
So you got them starting 1-0 on the season.
I think the Bengals will win this game.
All right. So after week 1, you get your first win back, starting the season. Take your first road trip. You go to the Chicago Bears. What do you see?
The Chicago Bears, this is an interesting team because they're kind of in limbo right now at the quarterback position. Their GM, Ryan Pace, has said that Andy Dalton, former Bengals quarterback for 9 years, is going to be their starter. But the future is Justin Fields.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw this one nugget to you, Anthony. Matt Nagy, the head coach of the Bears, his record in September in 3 seasons as the Bears head coach is 9-2. And the reason why that is because teams haven't adjusted to their offense.
Right.
I think the Bears, and we know the Bengals defense struggles against offenses that have that can scheme really well. And Matt is a great schemer. And especially that Bears defense, which when it's on, it is.
Yeah.
Now, they do have a new defensive coordinator this year. How's that going to fare? I don't know. But I do think that the Bears get the win here. I think it'll be a close game, but I just think the Bears get this win because if it's Andy Dalton playing quarterback, you never know what Matt Nagy's going to have him do. If it's Justin Fields, I don't think it will. I mean,
honestly, Fields start until like week 8, week 7.
I think you're right, and he may not even start this year because
unless Dalton gets hurt.
Correct, and it's not like Andy Dalton is a bad quarterback.
Right.
It's not like we're talking about, when Deshaun Watson came into the league and he was backing up Tom Savage. Why that ever happened, I'll never know.
Right. All right, so week 3, your first divisional opponent, you're on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers. What do you see?
Well, we know the Steelers have been a thorn in the Bengals side for years. Last Bengals beat them on Monday Night Football, but that was their first win against them since 2015. That year was also the last time the Bengals beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh. I think this game will be really close. The Steelers are one of 2 teams that I don't really know how they're going to be this year because they lost so much, particularly on the offensive line. They have 4 new starters this year. The only veteran who's there is David DeCastro, their right guard. James Conner is no longer there. Their receivers are good, and their numbers are actually better than what I thought they were.
And they have Najee Harris.
That is true. They did. That was a good draft pick. But again, what good does it have a good running back and a good receiving core if your offensive line can't
hold the block?
Exactly. This game being in Pittsburgh, I am going to have to roll with the Steelers in this one.
All right, so 1-2. So after the short little road trip that you all go on for the last 2 weeks, it's week 4. You're home against Jacksonville Jaguars, and you get to experience Trevor Lawrence, and you get to experience Trevor Lawrence for the first time and the new Jacksonville Jaguars. What do you see?
Well, the Jaguars are new, and they're going to have a new look to them this year. There's excitement with Trevor Lawrence, Urban Meyer,
Travis Etienne.
They do have some good receivers in DJ Chark, and if Laviska Shenault can continue to improve, they just need a tight end and an offensive line. Excuse me. But don't forget about James Robinson, too, in the backfield, 1,000-yard rusher last year. But I think this game, the Bengals win. And it wouldn't surprise me if they won this game comfortably.
You got them going 2-2 so far.
Yes.
And then week 5, you're home against the Green Bay Packers.
This is a really interesting game. And every time we play the Packers, the games always are interesting leading up to them. And there's always something that happens during the game that's compelling. And obviously the big story, sorry, I have a twitch in my eye there.
You're good.
The Packers, we don't know who their quarterback is going to be. If I had to say today, I'd say Aaron Rodgers is going to be
Yeah.
the quarterback. The Bengals, though, are 2-1 against them. I think this is a game the Bengals can win, and I'm going to go with a win here. I just think playing at home, if the Bengals defensive front can get to a Packers offensive line that we know at times is not very good,
Right.
then the Bengals can put up 31 points and probably win 31-28, something like that. So I'll go with a win there.
All right. So you're 3-2 going into week 6. You're on the road. You're at Detroit. What do you see with this Detroit team?
Well, this is going to be the game where everybody that was on Team Sewell is going to shut up and get on Team Chase because the Bengals are going to win this game. I'm totally confident them going up to Detroit, who I don't think is going to be very good this year. Penei Sewell, yes, we heard all about him, and now he's the next Anthony Munoz and stuff like that. Yeah, just wait till he gets into this league and sees, who he's going up and sees who he's going up against. He hasn't played football in 2 years. Bengals win this game, and it wasn't shocking if Penei Sewell gave up a couple sacks either.
Right. So now week 7. You're on the road again. You are at Baltimore. What do you see?
Obviously, the Ravens the last 2 years have been a practically a soul crusher to the Bengals because they have just beaten the absolute tar out of them.
Right.
And I think everybody talks about, I always think about how the defense, seemed inept at times to stop that Ravens offense. But I also think about the Bengals offense not being able to muster anything against the Ravens defense.
Right.
The Ravens defense last year at the game in Baltimore, it felt like they were in the backfield every single play against Joe Burrow. So this is a team that when the Bengals have played them recently, it's been a total beatdown on offense and on defense. I see the Ravens winning this game. Hopefully it's closer this time.
So now you're 4-3 going into week 8. You're going against the Jets in New York, and you get to see Zach Wilson for the first time, see what he's done. What do you expect for this game?
I think the Bengals win, but I think it'll be a close game. The Jets, they have a lot of uncertain pieces. They have, they have a new head coach, so you don't know what you're going to get there. That creates
right. I agree with you
by
on
itself. Robert Saleh, excuse me. Hang on. They have some new playmakers on offense. Excuse me. In Tevin Coleman at running back, Jamison Crowder at wide receiver. So you don't really know what you're going to get. But at the same time, I think the Bengals have more talent and will come away.
Yeah. And you have a rookie quarterback, so he's still learning.
Yeah.
All right. So after the 3-game road trip, you return home to face another divisional opponent, the Cleveland Browns. What do you expect with this game?
The Cleveland Browns, I think, excuse me, the Browns are obviously a team that they're going to have high expectations, and rightfully so because of what they did last year and who they have coming back and what they also did in free agency. But I think the Bengals win against them at home.
So 6-3. Now you get your bye week at a good time. You got the bye week, rest up. It's basically middle of the season at this point. And then after the bye week, you take a road trip. You go to Las Vegas and face the Raiders.
Yeah, your second favorite team.
Yeah.
Anthony, this is another interesting game because what we've seen the last 2 years from the Raiders is that, they're really good at the start of the season. But what's going to happen when they get to right around the time the Bengals go out there, which is week 11? That's when they've started to fall off the last 2 years. This game could go really either way. And I think the Bengals have more talent than the Raiders, so I'll take the Bengals in this game.
So you got them going so far. Now it's week 12. You're home against the Steelers. Do you see this sweeping the Steelers or split the series? What do you expect in this game?
I see a split. I think the Bengals will beat the Steelers at home. Just
because.
Again, this is all part of what's called the Joe Burrow effect. Because if this was Andy Dalton, it'd be kind of bland. You know what you're going to get. But with Joe Burrow, it's you think you know what you're going to get based on what we saw in the 10 games last year, which is a quarterback who just has that it to him.
Yeah.
And obviously, by me having them right now at 8-3, that's expecting them to take a massive leap, which, might be unrealistic. But again, we saw, what Joe Burrow is capable of.
Right. So now, week 13, the West Coast team comes to town, the Los Angeles Chargers. You got Justin Herbert. You got Rashawn Slater. Got some good playmakers on this team. It's a new team, new head coach. What do you expect?
New team, new head coach, but at the same time, we know who is going to be behind center, Justin Herbert, and behind a new center, by the way, and Corey Linsley. I think what the Chargers did in the offseason, upgrading their offensive line, was instrumental to the continuation of the development of Justin Herbert. I think this game is really close, and
right.
I'll say the Chargers get a win here.
All right, so now you're 8-4 after 13 weeks of the season, home against the San Francisco 49ers. What do you see?
Another really interesting game because it's a West Coast team coming to and a California team coming to Cincinnati in December. The Niners, you don't know who's going to be their starting quarterback. It could be Jimmy Garoppolo, it could be Trey Lance. And again, the Niners last year had a slew of injuries on both sides. But when they're healthy, we know they're one of the best. They have one of the best rosters in the NFL. They have one of the best head coaches in the NFL, one of the best schemers in the NFL. This game is really, really hard. I'm going to go with the Niners in this game.
So that puts you to 8-5. And then now, week 15, you go out to the West Coast. You're at the Denver Broncos. And this is another team without a quarterback.
Yeah, you don't know who's going to be the starting quarterback.
Who knows?
It could be, Drew Lock. It could be Teddy Bridgewater. You don't know who it could be. They could pull a Tennessee and trade for someone like Ryan Tannehill. You don't know. But outside of the quarterback, we talked about this last week. 2 weeks ago, the Broncos have a roster that I think is capable of, competing. I don't know about for a AFC West title with Kansas City, but
right.
For maybe a playoff spot or just playing meaningful games in December.
Right.
I think this game will be close. It is in the Mile High altitude. It is in December. Joe Burrow's never played out
there.
Yeah, out there. Joe Burrow's only played, if you think about it, one game on the western part of the United States, and that was the Fiesta Bowl back in 2018. He hasn't really played games west. So I'm going to say that the Bengals get a win here in this game, but it won't be easy. So I got him. Where am I at? 9-5?
You're at 9-5, going into the last 3 weeks of the season. Now, another divisional opponent. You go home against the Ravens. And then it's December, early December, mid-December, whatever. What do you see? Cold weather. It's going to be a cold weather game.
Yeah, cold weather game, but let's be honest. What does that mean?
Right.
Who's the best running team in the league? The Ravens.
Yeah.
So
when you got Lamar at quarterback.
Yeah, I can't pick the Bengals to win this game until I know the Bengals can even compete with the Ravens.
Right.
Just for me, if all goes according to plan, which who knows in this world, I'll be on a cruise during that game. So if it gets to the point where the Bengals can't stop the Ravens offense, I can get a few drinks in me. So I'll say the two biggest games of the year I'm going to be on a cruise for. So I'll say the Ravens in this game.
So now you're sitting at 9-6, week 17, home against the Kansas City Chiefs. What do you expect?
I'm going to say a win here, and here's why. I think the Chiefs will have locked up a number 1 seed by then, potentially, and they'll rest their starters.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go with the Bengals actually in that game. And I might change my pick there because obviously we know what Kansas City is. We know the last time they played the Chiefs, they couldn't. I mean, they didn't even belong on the field.
No.
Oh, I don't know what that was. But I'm picking the Bengals to win the game only because I think the Chiefs can rest their starters.
Right. And then week 18, you finish at the Cleveland Browns.
That game is a toss-up for me because obviously the last 3 years the Browns have won in Cleveland against the Bengals. And I'm making this pick under the assumption that the Browns are going to be good this year, but you never know.
You never know.
I mean, you never know. And if they're struggling and there could be some internal issues and they may not be, ready to play with the right mindset. The Bengals, with nothing to lose, could go up there and win. I'll pick the Browns for right now. It sounds reasonable. So that puts the Bengals at 10-7. I think that's
– You got the Bengals finishing at 10-7. And do you see them making the playoffs or wild card?
Well, I'll solve that question, answer that question to you this way. So we know the number 1 seed's probably going to be Kansas City.
Probably.
After
or
that,
Buffalo.
Yeah, or Buffalo. Buffalo's going to be number 2 at least, I think.
Yeah.
We got the Bills at number 2, and then 3 through 7. I just think there's too many good teams in the AFC ahead of the Bengals to make the playoffs because you got 3 in the AFC North potentially. Baltimore, Cleveland, maybe Pittsburgh. I don't know.
Never know.
I think the Bengals will have a better record than the Steelers. And then you've got 2 teams that are going to come out of the South in Indianapolis and Tennessee. So it's just a matter of, and New England could bounce back this year. The Chargers could surge. I mean, 7-9. All you have to do is win maybe 3 more games, which, I mean, you look at the games they lost last year and the close.
It was on like last minute plays.
Yeah, they can easily turn that around. So I just look at, I think the Bengals can make the playoffs, but there are so many good teams in this AFC. It's going to be really, really difficult, particularly in the Bengals' own division.
Right. So do you see the Bengals having so you see a mediocre playoff run if they make the playoffs?
Well, if they make the playoffs, they're going to be a wild card.
Right.
And, your best hope is that they finish as the 5th and then they play the weakest division winner, which I think would be the Colts or the Titans, who would match up well against. Because the Colts have a really good defense, but they don't blitz. You can attack their defense. And we saw it last year. And the Titans, I mean, yes, they did sign Bud Dupree in free agency, but at the same time, I watched them last year. They had no pass rush whatsoever. None. You can do whatever you want on offense against the Titans. So the Bengals match up well against them. So if they do get to the playoffs, you want to face those teams. You don't want to face Buffalo.
No.
They will just shred the defense. And by the way, they also have a good defense themselves. And you definitely don't want to face the Ravens on the road in the playoffs. Good Lord have mercy if that.
I mean, you never know with the Ravens.
You do never know. They've struggled in the playoffs the last 3 years, as you're alluding to. And if you were, and then have mercy if you have to face Kansas City in the first round at Arrowhead Stadium, and it's not going to be
not going to be pretty.
Not going to be pretty, and it's not going to be limited capacity. Let's be honest.
Right.
So yeah, if the Bengals make the playoffs, you preferably want to face the Colts or the Titans. The AFC South. Yeah, you're playing on the road, but like I said, they match up well against both of those teams.
All right, so that will conclude today's episode. Once again, I would like to thank Alex or Frankie to be on this episode today. Let us know in the comments if you want to join on the episode. Let us know what you think. If you're wrong, right, or whatever, let us know your opinion. And then don't forget, comment your favorite team. Comment maybe you want to be on the episode. But thank you so much again for watching. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and leave a follow. And thank you.